First of all, I want to welcome everyone to this workshop. Every single year we do a college and career planning workshop, and then we do that because we get so much feedback from the families about how helpful this has been to those students. We hope you enjoy it as well as past students have. To any visiting students who are not NCCMI students, we're very glad to have you with us today. Welcome. We're glad you're here. This workshop is called Musical Pathways, College and Career Planning. We're going to start with brief introductions and a brief discussion, and then we will ask each of our guests to share a few words to help you, the students and parents, any parents that might be here, to think about how music can be a minor or major part of your college and career lives. And finally, we will have breakout rooms, so you can move from room to room and talk with representatives in smaller groups. We've invited a truly distinguished panel of people here today who can help us to understand all the possibilities. And all of these individuals are here today as volunteers. So we are so grateful to each and every one of you for joining us. They are donating their time, talents, and their dedication here. So let me just start out with Jo-Yu Lee, and I'm just going to introduce you all briefly. You can just say hello, and then later on we will have our profiles about each college and your particular area of expertise. So Jo-Yu Lee works in the field of music therapy at the UNC Medical Center as a senior therapist. And Ben, maybe we can pin her if possible. I'm not sure if that works, but she is also the owner of Music in Your Mind, LLC, and a founding member of VITA Strings. Yes, she studied at Appalachian State University, at the National Taiwan Normal University, and the Cleveland Institute of Music. Jo-Yu, we're so glad to have you with us today.
Hi, everybody. We'll talk more later, but thank you so much for being here. I am so honored to be part of this.
Thank you, Jo-Yu. Edward Cho is an adjunct professor of cello at Wake Forest University. He studied at Indiana University and Wilfrid Laurier University. Hi, Edward.
Hello. Hi, Liz. Thanks so much for having me. Looking forward to speaking with you all.
Absolutely. And just a brief aside, I ran into Professor Cho a few weeks ago at a wonderful cello gathering at UNC School of the Arts for Andrea Casarubios, and we just got to talk, and I said, well, you should come to our workshop and talk to people about Wake Forest. So that was really serendipitous that happened. Jimmy Gilmore, I'm going to mention him. He's actually my husband, but he also teaches at Duke, longtime professor at Duke University. He has taught at UNC in Chapel Hill, and he's currently also at Meredith College. He's the former principal clarinetist of the North Carolina Symphony, and he currently serves as our NCCMI Assistant Executive Director. Welcome, Mr. Gilmore.
Thank you very much. And I want to emphasize that I'm the Assistant Director, and I'm very cognizant of my position because my wife is the Executive Director. But I am here today to talk about Duke and Meredith College, and I look forward to talking to all of you who are interested. And I love to hear your story and what your ambitions are. So I'm looking forward to it. Thank you.
Thank you so much. All right, and next up, we're going to introduce Nicholas DiEugenio. He is the Associate Professor of Violin at UNC in Chapel Hill. He is the director of the Luby Violin Symposium at UNC Chapel Hill and the co-artistic director of MICO. He studied at the Cleveland Institute of Music and Yale University. He's an amazing violinist. This is Nick DiEugenio.
Hey, everyone. Thanks so much, Liz, for having me. Looking forward to talking with everybody, and it's an honor to be here.
Thank you so much. William Brickhouse is the current interim admissions liaison for the North Carolina School of Arts Department of Music. He has previously worked at the Juilliard School in admissions and obtained his BM in voice from the University of North Carolina School of the Arts. Welcome, Mr. Brickhouse, or is it Dr. Brickhouse? I want to address you properly.
It's Mr. Thank you. It's lovely to be here. I'm excited to hear all of the great things that are to come of this conversation this evening. So thanks for having me.
Thank you for that. And Molly Jewell is Director of Admissions for the Blair School of Music at Vanderbilt. She holds a BM from Vanderbilt University, and I understand that with Molly Jewell is another admissions department, I believe, staff person. So Molly, I'd welcome you to introduce your colleague there as well.
Thank you so much. With me is Natalie Peterson. Excuse me. She is Assistant Director of Music Admissions with me at the Blair School. So we're so happy to be here. Thank you for having us.
Happy to have you here. And later on, we're going to be joined by Dr. Peter Askham. He wasn't able to be here right in the beginning. Ben, if he comes in, please just interrupt me and tell me he's here so we could introduce him at that point. Something came up at the last minute, so he knew he was going to have to be a little bit late. But he is the Director of Orchestral Activities at North Carolina State University. He is the founder of the Next Festival of Emerging Artists, which encourages young artists to focus on artistic development. He studied at Yale University, so that will be, if for any students who are particularly interested in going to NC State or thinking about maybe doing a music minor there while working on some other major, he'll be able to talk to you about that. And then I don't believe we have Dr. Timothy Hawley yet. Is that correct, Ben?
He hasn't joined yet.
Okay, so we will also have Dr. Timothy Hawley that will be joining us soon, and he is the interim director of the music department at NC Central University, longtime cello professor there. He is also, incidentally, a member of our faculty for NCCMI and on our board of trustees. He's one of the world-renowned experts, really, in the music of African-American composers. Has done a lot of premieres himself, so he's a great person to talk to, whether you're interested in NC Central University or just interested in learning about adding to your own personal repertoire of diverse composers that you might be performing or teaching someday. So keep that in mind. So that's where we are, and up on your screen right now you can see all of these different logos from the various places, and I love seeing that because I think it's a very colorful representation of these great places that you can go to learn more about music. So we're going to move on to our next slide, Ben. And we're going to talk a little bit about why music. So I want the students, you can use actually, I would really love to hear your voices for this part. So if you can, if you're willing to share, we'd like to ask you, why do you think you would want to include music in your college plans, even if you are not planning to work as a musician for your career? So just think about that for a second. Why do you think you'd want music in your college plans, even if you're not planning to work as a musician in your career? Anyone, you can, I think there's probably a way to raise your hand, or you could just unmute yourself and just start talking. And I know some of you, so if you don't volunteer, I'm going to call on you.
Yes, Silas raised his hand.
Silas.
If you like playing music.
If you like playing music, absolutely. And maybe you just want to just keep music going on in your life, right? Is that what you're thinking? Like, you might want to go to a college where even if you're not wanting to be a music major, maybe you could play in the school orchestra, or maybe you could do chamber music, right? Yeah. Okay, Christina.
I think it would be good for like volunteer work. Like you could play music for like children at hospitals or for like related people. And like it's also like if you have done it for so many years and it's like such an important hobby and aspect of your life, you wouldn't just want to like quit in high school. You would want to keep playing.
Absolutely. I love that. And we're going to have someone talking to us shortly about some of the things you just mentioned about how you can help people through your music. All right. Anybody else want to share their thoughts? Joshua.
Well, it can teach you very applicable life skills as well. Music requires extreme attention to detail, With chamber music as well, it can teach you teamwork, how to work with people.
Absolutely.
Very useful in life.
Absolutely. All right. Any other comments about that? Was that you, Luis? No? Okay. We'll hear from you later, okay? All right. So my next question for you is, how will music help you achieve success in college and beyond? So I want you to kind of broaden your perspective for a second and really think about how will music help you achieve success in college and beyond? Any answers to that question? What does music do for you? Has anyone ever heard about the Mozart effect? Hi, Christina. Looks like you have an answer for us.
Maybe it'd be good for like stress relievement. Like if you're really stressed about something and like you want to like express your emotions through music, that could be beneficial.
Absolutely. It's just something that helps balance out your life, right? Ana Jose?
I think it could also help with concentration, and like someone else said, it requires a lot of attention to detail, so it could help with your focus too.
Absolutely. Helping with focus and concentration. Other thoughts? Anyone? Have you ever heard them, and this kind of goes along with what Ana Jose was saying, but have you ever heard anyone talk about the connection between music and math skills? Like oftentimes people who are good at music are good at math and vice versa. It's just something about what music does for the brain, you know? So doing music, whether you're in high school, college, or beyond, it's going to definitely be something to help you. Okay, and then my last question it goes back to the chat, and I think several of you actually put answers to this. What are some possible career paths that can come from doing a music major, minor, or whatever? And so here's some of the answers that were in the chat. Joshua, what did you say? You want to say it out loud?
I said you could become a soloist / performer, a teacher, or a producer, like for films.
Absolutely, like a film producer, audio producer, right? And Natalie?
Performance, like solo performance, orchestra performance, multiple types of performance.
Very good. Luis?
I said like you can either become a teacher, but you can also just play at like gigs and stuff.
Absolutely. You can be a teacher, you can play at gigs, and there's all kinds of different engagements you might play, right? Whether you were doing something like a string quartet for weddings, or if you're going to, maybe you can improvise and you could perform in jazz combos, something like that, right? There's all different ways to perform. All right, and then Silas, you mentioned something. You want to share that?
You could accompany people, and then you could also become a composer.
Sure. You can be an accompanist, especially if you're a pianist. You could definitely become an accompanist, and you're a pianist yourself, right? So very fine pianist. So, and then Christina, what did you say?
You can be like a performer in general, like for an orchestra or soloist, or you can like do volunteer work. You can also be a teacher.
Absolutely. And Anya Jose?
You could go into music therapy, or you could be a band director.
I love that. Very good. This first person that mentioned band director, but it kind of goes along with Luis's idea of being a teacher, doesn't it? You could be a band director, an orchestra director, teach general music in school. Absolutely. Anyone want to add to these before we show you a surprisingly long list of careers, okay? So I'm going to ask Ben to screen share that list now. And this is a list that we have to thank the good folks at Meredith College for coming up with. And I'm happy to share this with anybody at any time, but it's an amazing list of all these careers, and some of them I didn't even think of myself before I saw this list. So you can see under music performer, and this was what Natalia was saying, look at all the different ways you can perform, whether it's gigs like Luis was saying, or being in an orchestra or a soloist of some kind, backup singers, being an accompanist like Silas was saying, in education, all the different ways you can be an educator. And I don't think we talked about this before, but teaching at colleges and universities in ethnomusicology, music theory, music history, performance technology. Like, for instance, NC State now has its first music major, which is in music technology. I believe it's technology like, I think it has to do kind of with software that's created to help musicians or recording people to do their work. So that is a real growing field. And for instance, you could teach abroad in different places as a teacher in international schools, private studio teacher at a music school. You could teach for something like NCCMI, or you could be an arts administrator. We really need great people to go into arts administration. There's music ministry. So many churches need to have a minister of music, choir director, a pianist or organists. We're really, organists are in short supply actually in the world, or a cantor. Publication, think about that. Being a music publisher, music critic, or an editor, helping to work on parts reproducing. And then there's advocacy. This means like if you were to go and work on the state level or the national level, advocating for arts and arts organizations. You might never have heard of NAFME, but that's one of those kinds of organizations. Being a lobbyist or a cultural attaché. You could be in music therapy. We're going to hear more about this in a moment, so I'm not going to talk about that very much. But there's other medical ways of applying your music degree. And you could do music technology, recording studios, cinema, radio, television, sound reinforcement at concert venues, computer games. There's a very deep interest in making, computer games. They need people who know about music to create the music that goes along with those video games. And then advertising music. And I just want to mention about the music technology part of it. We had a student a number of years ago that was in our WCPE quartet. His name's Andy Brewster, and he was a very fine violinist. And he went off to school to California, studying music composition and technology and production. And he got into video and making films. And now he's a big time filmmaker. He's moved back to the area, but he's working a lot with Hollywood people. Just saw him at our alumni gathering last year, and he reconnected with another member of our alumni who's a composer, and they're like, okay, let's work together on this next film project. You might be surprised at how you could connect and really build upon your music skills with other people. In composition, you can create music for all these different types of instrumentations, solo, ensemble, chamber music, commission works, advertising jingles, soundtracks, creating lyrics that go with music, or being an orchestrator, figuring out how somebody's song could be reconfigured so that it could be played by orchestras. What about the music business? Music agencies, creating brands, digital, film, TV. You can work in finance in the music industry. In fact, one of our former board members was a gentleman who played the guitar, became an attorney, and then he became a copyright attorney for musicians and publishing companies. So he built upon his music background to become a copyright lawyer in music. Finances, labels, management. I mean, the list goes on in that area. And then when you think about music library, and several of the people who are here today, they work in universities where they have wonderful music libraries, and the music librarians have a music background. Or being an archivist, like I know that UNCG, we don't have anybody from there today, but they have a wonderful music archivist that curates their cello collection of music there. Or even How about background music, what they call Muzak, ambient music for elevators or for shopping malls? Okay, so how many of you, by a show of your hands, are surprised by this list? Did you see things on this list you've never seen before? Yeah, I'm seeing some raised hands for sure. And we will share this list with you later. Students, it may be something you want to share with your parents if they're skeptical that you can find a career in music. This might surprise them too. Okay, so now since I've been talking a lot, we're going to go on and have a little time now to talk about the different ways that you might find a good path for yourself in life and in your career with your music. And we're going to start out, as I promised, with Jo-Yu Lee. And the reason why is because one of you referred to the idea of becoming a music therapist. And I think that she can speak to that really well because she does this very thing right now. So Jo-Yu, I'm going to hand this over to you. And this is an example, y'all, of how you can use your music in a different way than performance or teaching. Okay, Jo-Yu.
Thank you, Liz. Hello, everybody. I'm Jo-Yu. So to give you all a bigger picture of how I got to music therapy, I do want to give you a little bit information about my background. So I am a cellist, and I have been a cellist, and I play piano all my life. I started off as pursuing a performance career, and I really, really enjoy performance, and I still do it. That's a huge part of my life. But I went to Cleveland to do my master's, and I have a master's in cello performance. I got a job right out of school, moved to Japan to work in an orchestra there. And during my time in Cleveland and also in Japan, I was really involved in a lot of like volunteer services. So I think it was Christina that was talking about potentially, playing and performing in hospital spaces, and also what NCCMI actually do a lot already, like going to do outreaches and bringing music to the community. So that was actually really my background as well. And I was really inspired in talking and building connections with folks about music. And the really wonderful thing about live music is, people listen to music almost every day, all the time, especially students nowadays. But when there is live music and you're in that space and you can feel the vibration, you can feel like the breath, you can like anticipate if it's a string quartet, those communication between person to person. It's really exciting, and it's actually not just inspiring, but people feel something deeply, and when they go to events like this, it changes something within the human connection. So that's really how I got interested in seeing, okay, there's something more to music performance. And I want to be really, really clear about that. I love performance, and it's still the best thing in the world. And at the same time, I was really curious about what can I do more with music? I wondered about the therapeutic affects. I wondered about psychology. And so I started writing to a lot of programs, both in the US and in the UK. And I ended up choosing the program at Appalachian State for a collection of different reasons. But one of the big reasons was also the school offered a music psychotherapy program that combines mostly Western classical music, but nowadays there's a lot of different music programming, and using it in a very intentional way to help people work through anxiety, through depression, working through potentially some traumatic experiences, working through life changes, working through pain, working through anything that, whether it's in your brain or whether it's in your body, or that brain and body connection, anything that's uncomfortable and stressful, music plays a part in this. So I decided to get a second degree at the age of 30, and went through all of my training, did all of my clinical placement. And I have been working in hospitals for the past 10 years. And right now I am a music therapy and a music psychology researcher. My PhD program is in Denmark. So that gives you a little bit of okay, this is where Jo-Yu started, with music performance, practicing 8 to 10 hours a day, day in, day out. And nobody in my family is a musician, so they were all really confused that I wanted to pursue a career in music, and they were supportive. But also because of my teachers, because of my own curiosity of really nurturing music, and also asking the questions of, okay, how do I make sense? How can I build like some different pathways? And I really love the music. I really love the question of why music. My research study right now is actually with UNC college students, and it covers undergraduate, some are, freshmen, some are seniors, some are going into grad school, some of them are medical students, some of them are postdoc, and really interested in using music from a therapeutic way to support their emotion regulation. So, as y'all know, and you've been working on during your chamber music time, music is so much about communication, right? I think Joshua also really emphasized that teamwork piece. It's about emotional expression. It's about being diligent, being responsible, being accountable, and really training us to have creative thinking. So there is like the day in, day out from, your basic scales, your warm up, your foundation of having really solid and structure, routine, and skills. And when you are making music together, when you're thinking about different ways of phrasing, different ways of analyzing, thinking about how you're highlighting those contrasts, that is so much about how to express yourself in so many different ways. And so as you are going into university and choosing all these like different possibilities, right? I also really want to encourage y'all to think about what you choose now may not be like something that you will end up doing forever exactly the same way. I still play cello every single day. I play in string trios, I play in orchestras, I play whenever I can. Performing is a huge part of who I am. And at the same time, I get to bring cello into my therapy spaces, whether it's in the hospital, whether it is really using the live recordings to bring it into research spaces, whether it is truly, like improvising and working with my students and my patients to find ways to explore sound. And that is a huge, I think, privilege in a lot of ways that I get to use music every single day. I really, really love what I do. I may not always love the environment or, if you work with people, there's always going to be stressful things, but I really love the opportunity to use music to build connections. And I really think that, almost everybody likes music. It just depends on what kind of music. And music is really personal. So it is part of your identity and what kind of music speaks to you, what composers you love. That's like one of my questions I really like exploring with my chamber music students. What piece of music that you're working on right now, what composers, gives you goosebumps that when you're practicing, you just feel like you could be playing Bach for 3 hours. You could be working on a Tchaikovsky. I know I see some of my students here, so we've had these conversations before. And how you are using that as your inspiration, as a way to take care of yourself, no matter what you're studying. And music offers not just possibilities, as I emphasize, but a way for you to really create pathways, which is directly related to the neuroscience of things, right? Many of you may have heard of like neuroplasticities, of like generating new connections, and music plays a huge part in this. I want to be aware of time, so I want to show y'all. This is a flyer, and there's a lot of words on this. I will make this available for y'all, but this is a flyer that I use for my in-services at the hospital. I talk to doctors all day about what music therapy is, and I'm creating new music therapy programs for the UNC hospitals. So we started off as only in, and this is actually not as important. Let's look at this tree right here. So this is the tree that I have really highlighted. What is music therapy scientifically proven to be effective for? And this is a really, really long list, which to kind of scan through things. This is like so many medical issues, but also truly just being a human. There are a lot of these things that music can really support with. And music therapy is really using music as the vehicle. And it is a very specific way to train. It's kind of like training to become a mental health counselor and also a social worker. The classes and the courses are very, very similar. We also have clinical training, which is really important. But also, there is a branch in medicine that is called musicking, which is not music therapy, it's music and health and music and arts in medicine, which is a different kind of way. So if, let's say, you are a medical practitioner and you have a music background, I'm going to show you all the second. I call it a coping skills toolbox because these are just some examples of what I might be doing in music to work with people. But if you are a medical practitioner and you have rich knowledge in music, you may be able to offer a lot of insight and expertise of how can we include music in, let's say, medical spaces and spaces that there's a lot of pain going on. There's a lot of sensitivity to sound and loudness and busyness and chaos. So there are the really serious, but also really fun ways of going into the therapeutic route of training to become a music therapist. But there's a lot of different kinds of music therapists. I am a music psychotherapist and a researcher, but there's also music therapists that works with kids, work with older adults, work in school settings. And then there's the music and arts and medicine. So these are just some highlights. There's the active ways of using music, exploring your relationship with music, as this is like really the psychology of things, managing emotions, feelings, and moods. And also I do a lot of like mindfulness and adding a lot of this neuroscience, like the polyvagal theory is tied to our nervous system of how we can use music and breathing and imagery. I'm going to stop sharing to really enhance our knowledge about what we already know and how we can do things and shift things in a way that makes a little bit more sense. So if you're curious to learn a bit more about music therapy and you would like to go to school, please let me know. And I really appreciate y'all's time and attention. Have a beautiful evening.
Thank you so much, Jo. You appreciate that. And I'm going to shift now to introduce Peter Askham. I think we're going to actually put him up in the next queue because I missed him earlier, and I'm going to make sure I talk to everyone. So I'm going to give everyone, hopefully what I'm going to do for each of you, probably I'm going to give you a warning, like I'll send y'all a chat, like, okay, you've got 2 minutes or 1 minute so that we can make sure everyone gets in. So Peter Askham is Director of Orchestral Activities at North Carolina State University. He founded the Next Festival of Emerging Artists, which encourages young artists to focus on artistic development. He studied at Yale. Dr. Askham, would you like to share a little bit about NC State, what it has to offer, and what recommendations you'd have to students if they were interested in coming to State?
Absolutely, yeah, and it's great to be here and great to see all of you. I just finished up with a conducting clinic, so I'm sorry that I was late. I wanted to hear where everybody's coming from. I see some familiar faces and some people I don't know. So I think you're in great hands here. So just a very little bit about my own musical journey is that I was a professional bass player and that was what I wanted to do with my life. I played in a professional orchestra for about 9 years, while at the same time composing and conducting. And then I decided that actually playing in an orchestra wasn't everything that I wanted to do. I wanted to explore all of the different ways that music was important to me and that my brain kind of worked with music. So right now I am the conductor at NC State, and I teach composition there. I lead 2 orchestras there, and I also, as Liz was mentioning, I started a music festival for early career string players based in New York and called the Next Festival. And it was really important to me to be able to be helpful to string players who are very interested in new music, who are particularly interested in trying to find new ways to make a career in music, which is not the typical ways, maybe. So it's something that I think about a lot. At NC State in particular is a really good situation for those of you who are interested in majoring in something else, but keeping music as a really important part of your life. So we don't have a music performance major. We have a music performance minor, and we have really fine teachers there, including Liz as one of our faculty. So when you're there as a music performance minor, you get to take lessons, you get to play an orchestra, you take a few music theory and history classes, but you're free to major in whatever you'd like. And so in the orchestras that I conduct, we have engineering majors and psychology majors and English majors and business majors who may have been in something like NCCMI growing up. And we have a lot of alums who play in the orchestra. But they want to do something else for their living, which is great. I recommend. But keep music as part of your life and a really important part. So at NC State, we have 2 orchestras that are both with NC State students, but also community members. So we also have NCCMI alums who then go on to become NC State students. And we also have NC State alums who are part of those orchestras. So in that way, it's a lower pressure way to keep music as part of your life, but it's very vibrant. We do a lot of really interesting work with the orchestras. In particular, we've been commissioning a new piece for every program for the last 9 years. So in every concert that we play, we do a world premiere of a piece of music that was written for us, for that orchestra. And we bring in the composers to work with the orchestra, to talk to the audience. And in that way, we are all a part of that creative process. You know, when you think about NC State is what they call an R1 institution. It's a research institution. And for me, what that means is doing research in what's happening in our field, on the instruments that we all play. Who's writing new music? What are the unique perspectives? Who are the different voices writing music? And can we bring them to life? Can we bring new music into the world? And that's really exciting. As an NC State student, you would be playing a world premiere on every concert and working closely with those composers. And we're coming up on 10 years of that next year. So I think it's a great situation for the right kind of person who's very passionate about music, very passionate about the creative process, but might want to do something else for a living. So yeah, that's it kind of in a nutshell. And
Thank you.
Happy to answer any
Thank you for that.
questions too.
And you'll all have a chance to visit with Dr. Askham later on. We're going to move now to Edward Cho from Wake Forest University. I mentioned earlier he studied at Indiana University and at Wilfrid Laurier University. Edward Cho, would you like to, you said you wanted to screen share a little bit about Wake Forest.
Yes, let me just try to figure this out. Oh no. Access. Oops. Is that try this. Here we go. Yeah. Sorry, is that going through? Great. Okay. Hello, everyone. Oops. Okay. So I'm Edward Cho. Nice to meet you all. I'm the cello teacher at Wake Forest University, and I'm also the associate principal cellist at Salisbury Symphony. And I just wanted to talk to you a little about studying music at Wake Forest. So I'm quite new here, actually. I just moved down here and started teaching this year. So hopefully I can give you sort of a fresh take on what's going on around here and why I think it's so great to come to Wake. So I think the biggest draw for me here is that it's a liberal arts environment. It's one of the top private liberal arts schools in the nation. So a little bit about me. When I was going into college way back when, I couldn't decide whether to go into engineering or into music. And after thinking a lot about it, I ended up choosing engineering. So after doing 2 years of engineering, I realized that actually music was my real passion. So I had to switch over, I had to reapply, go through the whole process again, go to a different school, and started studying music, and in a way lost 2 years of credits, which is okay. It was still fulfilling. But if you came to a liberal arts school like Wake Forest, then you wouldn't have to go through all of that maze, and the transitions would be much easier. So it's let me just move my little windows here so I can see. So here we have a combination of strong academics and an immersive music program. So I think it's really great because whether you are interested in going into a musical career or not, you can take all these courses. And I'll talk more about that in a bit. And since we have so many different arts happening, we have a thing called Wake the Arts, and they have a lot of interdisciplinary creative projects. So we can even think outside of the box for music. And we get together with the dance department, the fine arts department, and we put projects together. So that's really cool. And this is really exciting too, is that here we have a chance to study abroad. And I wanted to make like a list of satellite campuses that Wake Forest has, but there are way too many. You can pretty much go anywhere in the world. The music department has a big campus in Venice. But if you wanted to go to France, or if you wanted to go to somewhere in South America, if you wanted to go to Asia, we have destinations and campuses almost anywhere. So you would study for a term or more there. So that's a really cool opportunity. There's a low student to teacher ratio, so 15 to 30 students per class or fewer. And getting into the nitty gritty, I guess, we choose majors here at the end of the sophomore year. So there aren't actually any auditions to get into the school because you wouldn't be a music major yet. But if you wanted to become a music major, the auditions would happen at the end of sophomore year. You could also become music minors. And during these first 2 years, I think it's really cool because you can like study whatever you might be interested in, and even if you go into music or not, then you can, let's say you go into music, you can take all these other classes that might still interest you, like computers, sciences, and that I think, speaking from my perspective of coming from engineering, everything outside of music helps sort of propel your musical inspirations. So, and this might be one of the last opportunities in your life. After you start specializing in things, it gets harder to diversify. So this is a really good chance to do that. And we have a presidential scholarship here which is reserved for students with a strong interest in the arts. So for you guys, it would be music. And for this, though, you need an audition tape. So this is sort of like the unofficial audition to get into the school. And it's a big scholarship. I think they give out 20 per year. So if you are interested at Wake Forest, definitely check that out. So speaking a little more specifically about the music department at Wake Forest, the classes here are only taught by professors. So a lot of experience and no TAs or GAs. We have a diverse faculty and bunch of ensembles. We have band, orchestra, jazz ensemble, choir. And we also have these unique world ensembles like the Gamla Ensemble, Chinese Music Ensemble, and the Afro-Cuban Drumming Ensemble. So those things, not many people get an opportunity to do that. So it would be really cool to try that out, see what it's like, see if you can bring inspirations from that back to your own instrument. A lot of student performance opportunities. We have student showcases, performance hours, chamber music concerts. And finally, we have an annual concerto competition to play with the orchestra here. And then moving on, I think the sort of like the campus and facilities are important as well. So definitely come check out the campus here. But I found this little nice video sort of showing what it's like around here a little bit. So I thought I'd show you a little clip. So it's sort of like that. So definitely come out. But it's a beautiful campus. And we have two beautiful halls. This is our recital hall, Brendel Hall. And for bigger ensembles, we move over to Waite Chapel. And finally, for more musical inspiration, we have this great series called the Seacrest series. And here these are free for students, and we get some world-class artists coming in. And it's a big list of people, but past performances include Chick Corea, Itzhak Perlman, Ravi Shankar, and the list goes on. You guys can read it because I'm unsure how to say some of these names. Anyway, on that note, I'll finish, and thanks so much for listening to me a little bit and having me again, Liz. And if you want more information, definitely contact me, or there's a website link here. If you Google WFU admissions, that should probably bring you to there. So thanks so much.
Thank you so much, Edward. We really appreciate that. And I think we're going to go now to Molly Jewell, and she's going to talk to us about Vanderbilt University along with Natalie Peterson. Molly, hand it over to you.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Let me get my screen pulled up for you all. Sorry that I'm. Alrighty. It's being a little weird for me here. Can't get it off of the thing.
Might have to go through.
I'm just going to talk for a moment.
Okay, it's not a
and I will
problem.
get it fixed for you. So
Okay.
thank you so much again for having us this evening. As you kindly shared, we are a part of the Blair School of Music at Vanderbilt University, and we are a small undergraduate-only music program with approximately 240 music majors within the music school. It's a really neat combination for students because they get to have a immersive, intensive music school environment, very similar in many ways to a conservatory experience, but they're also a part of Vanderbilt University. So they are in an incredible liberal arts university setting. Many of our students have another passion outside of music that they like to incorporate, or simply be in this environment alongside their intensive music training. We also have the added benefit of being in a wonderfully creative and musical city. We are in Nashville, Tennessee, and we are really in the heart of downtown Nashville. Any area that you walk off our campus where you're in a different part of the city, but you're about 10 minutes from the downtown area, which is home to the Schermerhorn Symphony Center, Nashville Symphony, Nashville Opera, Nashville Ballet, etc., and a wonderfully wide variety of music spaces and opportunities. Our focuses here at Blair are classical and jazz music, and we have a variety of pathways for students in those two genre paths. Of course, we offer a traditional performance program, but we also have a fantastic music education program that's 5 years for our students planning to become music educators. It results in a bachelor's degree in music and a master's in music teacher education from Vanderbilt's Peabody College. I'm going to try this again. I don't know why it's not letting me get under there. Okay, let's just go back. Sorry about that. So the Peabody College is one of the 4 undergraduate schools at Vanderbilt. It is where our students focus on education pathways, sociology and psychology pathways. We also have a business-focused program through them, but the reason I'm highlighting them is because that is where our music education students spend a great deal of their time. As I shared before, they will result in a music degree followed by a master's in teacher education. At the end of their 5th year, they are nationally certified to teach. And another neat part of our program would be we have a fantastic academy that's part of the Blair School. We have upwards of 800 students that are a part of that program, whether they're in the youth program or the adult program. But we have students as young as age 6 months all the way through grade 12 coming to Blair for kinder music, youth orchestra, choral programs, things like that. And our music education students have the opportunity to observe those classes and get extra student teaching experience well before their required student teaching takes place. So it's really an added benefit just being in our school. This is all happening in-house. So we really love that for our music education students. The other really exciting piece of that program on the financial side that is important too would be that your undergraduate financial packaging carries with you into the 5th year, into the graduate year. So a lot of times the graduate portion of your program is much different financially. So students entering the 5th year of the Blair to Peabody program will have at least 50% of tuition funded. And so you are getting 2 degrees in 5 years' time and at 50% off, essentially, at least. So it's really, really exciting to have that. And if you had an undergraduate package that exceeds 50% of tuition, that's just great because you carry that too. But no matter what, everyone has at least 50% funded. Because we are in the context of Vanderbilt and many of our students are interested in us and choose us because they have another passion outside of music, we do have many combination opportunities for students that do want to add a minor or a second major in an academic field. We can do this in any major offered in Vanderbilt's College of Arts and Sciences, which is home to essentially all of the liberal arts fields. So if you see yourself as a voice major with a biology second major, or perhaps you're a violin student with a psychology second major, there's so many different paths that you can take and so many opportunities for students. Similarly, the Peabody College of Education and Human Development is available in all of their fields to combine with Blair majors. The only exception to this rule is the School of Engineering. You can only combine with computer science. So that's the only combination that doesn't quite work for our Blair majors. If you are someone that wants to keep music in your life, but not as a music major, we are also a wonderful place to do this. You can major in anything else at Vanderbilt and come over to Blair and continue your music studies in some way, shape, or form. I love to share this because, we're not exclusive to music majors. You can be a complete non-major, non-minor, and come over and continue private lessons the whole time that you're at Vanderbilt. You can audition for any of our ensembles and productions. We do 3 to 4 operas a year. So there's so much opportunity to keep a wonderful amount of music and high level amount of music in your life. Of course, you need a strong musical background, but the opportunities are there in addition to attending concerts, things like that. I'll leave with this part is scholarships and financial aid that are a super important part of the process, but I do want to highlight that we have many wonderful options for Vanderbilt students. Of course, our Blair majors have music merit opportunities available to them that they can apply for or be nominated for through a wonderful audition and accompanying academic profile. You are applying with both pieces of the process, the Vanderbilt academic portion and the music portion, since that would be a part of your life when you're here. So we want to assess and make sure that you're strong in both areas and that you would be happy and thriving in both parts of your life while you're here as a Vanderbilt student. But I also want to highlight that we have an incredible need-based scholarship program called Opportunity Vanderbilt. We meet 100% of demonstrated financial need through this program, and it's all through grants. So that means there are no student loans in any Opportunity Vanderbilt package. So really, really makes it possible for students and families to fund the cost of attendance program and leaving with no student loan debt from Vanderbilt. I'm sorry that I couldn't get the button to work on my PowerPoint, so I'm so sorry about that, but I hope this was helpful information, and thank you for having us.
Very helpful. Thank you for that summary. And I just want to add that, like many of the other colleges here, we have had NCCMI students that have gone to Blair. Sam Zhu was one of our WCBE string quartet students a number of years ago, and I think I don't know if he graduated from you all maybe 2 or 3 years ago, but I think he's one of those that I think he went there thinking he would do a double major, music and something else, and he ended up, finding his passion in music, and I believe he's now working on his master's degree in music. So it's a little bit like our guest from Wake Forest who has had to leave it, talking about how, it's a journey it's a long journey. You never know what's going to eventuate for you in your future. But thank you so much for that. I think we should go now to William Brickhouse, going to talk to us about the School of the Arts. William Brickhouse.
Hello, everyone. Once again, thanks for having me here today. My name is William Brickhouse. I am the current admissions liaison here at the North Carolina School of the Arts. I'm an alumni of the school. I graduated from the voice department in the college program. I'm very excited to talk to you about UNCSA today. Of course, as a student here, I have a lot of stories that I could go on and tell, but I will keep those for another day if you want to connect with me on that. But we are located in Winston-Salem, North Carolina. We are an arts conservatory. So if you were to apply for UNCSA, you would be applying for a music performance major or composition major that we have to offer. We also offer a couple of minors at the school if you're interested in continuing your study in something outside of your instrument or art form. So those minors include creative writing, German studies, arts entrepreneurship, which I was a member of, which is speaking to arts administration, arts business, how to build a nonprofit. It's really, I think all students should really be taking those courses, in my opinion. It's just a lovely resource to have. We also have 2 minors that are specific to the School of Music at UNCSA, which include multiple woodwinds and improvised music and jazz that you can elect to minor in. Like I said, it's an arts conservatory, so you will be surrounded by a campus of artists just like yourself. The campus is very small. It's one of the smallest in the UNC system. We have 1,350 students on campus. About 300 of those are music students. Also, something unique about UNCSA is we have our own residential high school program, starting as low as 9th grade. So we have a high school program and a college program, which includes undergrad, grad, and postgraduate degrees. So the wide range of ages on campus, I really loved it because I was able to work with people younger than me, work with people older than me. And it was a really great way to just have communal learning all the time. We're just learning from each other, teaching each other things. A really great environment. Let's see what else. You will be required to do a liberal arts curriculum in addition to your arts training, but I would say around 70% of your studies at UNCSA will be on your instrument. You will be in lessons and master classes with your studio. You'll take classes in music theory, aural skills, keyboard, a very extensive fundamental music training. And then you'll be placed in ensembles as soon as your first year. So as soon as you arrive at UNCSA, you will begin rehearsing and being on stage from as soon as your first year, which is really unique. And I think something also unique is our ensembles are mixed from high school all the way to college. So you will be in an ensemble with someone who may be in their freshman year of high school or in their postgraduate degree. And like the learning benefits that come out of that from everyone involved is just very extraordinary and a lovely place to be. Let's see, we do require an application video with the application, but it's certainly not the final say. You will come to campus and do an audition. And what we recommend to do is always reach out to the faculty members who are the teachers for these instruments. And a lot of the times they're willing to have private lessons with you leading up to auditions. It's a great way to build a connection and a relationship with them before you show up to your audition. We really recommend that. And yeah, I really loved being at UNCSA. I think the ability to create a network of artists, not only in the music department, but we have a film school on campus, a school of dance, a school of drama, and a school of design and production. So we have graduate students working in composition for film and visual media, which create the film score for the School of Film student films. So everything on campus is being made, produced, and performed by students, which makes for a really lovely experience for everyone involved. So I'm happy to go on and on, but I think you will all be sent my contact, so feel free to reach out to me about any questions that you have about UNCSA. I'm happy to meet with you and schedule a one-on-one. So thank you.
Thank you so much for that, William. And it just occurred to me, we have alumni that are currently attending UNCSA. Rebecca Fuller, it was one of ours. Felicia Adizue, who's in the high school program there. I have a student currently who's thinking about coming there next year for the high school program. And so for all of you current students who would like to connect with one of our alumni students at any of these colleges, you could let me know and I could connect you with some of those students, all right? And so I'm going to connect next to Nick DiEugenio. I think it would be wonderful to hear about UNC in Chapel Hill.
Hi, everybody. It looks like I'm also having a little bit of trouble with my screen sharing, but hopefully I can figure it out in the next moment. Looks like maybe I would have to quit and reopen. The other thing, oh, maybe this is going to work. Okay, let's try. I was going to say maybe I can send it, but that's coming through? Possibly? Okay, good. And let's see if we can go into slideshow view. Okay, great. So yeah, everybody, my name is Nicholas DiEugenio. I'm a violin professor at UNC Chapel Hill. And it's such a pleasure to teach and interact with all the students at UNC Chapel Hill. It's probably one of my favorite things about UNC are the students that I get to work with and interact with. They're all such curious people, really smart, and really passionate about music. And all of those things together make UNC a good fit for that profile of a person. So we actually have several different kinds of music degree options at UNC Chapel Hill. So at UNC, it's a total of 120 credit hours for your entire undergraduate time there. And you can do a BA in music, which is actually only 34 credit hours out of the total 120. So it allows a lot of flexibility for double majoring. So if you're the kind of person that is thinking about doing a double major, the BA in music from UNC Chapel Hill is a really good potential fit because it does give you a lot of flexibility in your schedule to organize the double major and still gives you time to practice and be involved with music as much as you want to be involved with music. So the 34 doesn't limit you to only 34. You can take more than that. But that gives you a lot of flexibility with that degree. And the BM in music, the Bachelor in Music, is a little bit more serious, music intensive. And some students that are really focused on only doing music will do the BM. But it's still possible to double major with the BM in music as well as a BS or a BA in something else. We have so many double majors at UNC Chapel Hill. I think in my violin studio, I have 14 students and 12 of them are double majoring with another field. And the types of double majors range from the sciences to the arts. I have majors that are English majors, as well as music majors, but at the same time, chemistry majors with their music major, history majors, and students that have gone into medicine and law. So it really runs the gamut. We also have a music minor, which we offer, which is only 9 credits, but it does include specific course requirements. And then it's also possible to do be a non-music major at UNC, but participate in all of the department ensembles that you'd like to by audition, or some of them are just completely open if you just want to sign up. So that kind of leads me to talk a little bit more about the performance opportunities at UNC Chapel Hill. We have a ton of different ensembles, large and small. So the UNC Symphony Orchestra, we also have the Baroque Ensemble that Brent Wissick directs, the University Chamber Players, which is our chamber music program. We also have Bluegrass Band at Carolina, and basically Charanga Carolina is like an Afro-Cuban band. We do jazz at Carolina. We have an amazing jazz program with amazing faculty like Rasan Barber and Stephen Anderson. We also have composition at Carolina. We also have things like hip hop ensemble. So there's a huge range of ensembles and genres of music that you can get involved with. We have really cool resources at Chapel Hill, including 3 beautiful concert halls. The one that you're looking at on the screen is the Mieser Auditorium. And we also have, in terms of resources, there are lots of grants that UNC undergraduates can apply for. And they're specifically research grants, and a lot of music students will use those grants to help them do summer study. So these are specific little examples of types of grants that you can apply for. We also have amazing library facilities, including rare collections of music and online collections. And recently, every student at UNC Chapel Hill has free access now to the Berlin Phil Digital Concert Hall, which means you can watch all the archived Berlin Phil digital concerts that are on there, plus lots of other content. It's totally amazing. We have a really cool historic instrument collection at UNC. So if you're interested in looking at instruments that were around in the time that the composers were writing for those instruments, like for example, we have an 1843 Pleyel piano, and that's super cool. We think that perhaps Chopin himself might have played that piano in the Pleyel playroom. So you can hear a little bit what the sound world was like of those composers, and that's really cool to take back to your instrument. I mentioned we have different concert halls, and we also have a really cool performing arts series called Carolina Performing Arts. And the cool thing about that is that we have these really amazing world-class artists that come, but they also interact with the students and play with the students. So for instance, Gil Shaham came and did a residency where he came several times and actually played with the student orchestra. This year, Johnny Gandelsman, who's a member of the Brooklyn Rider group and also the Knights, and has played a lot with Yo-Yo Ma and Silk Road, is coming to also do a residency and work with students and actually create some improvisation projects together. And he's even coming in a few weeks in December to do a chamber music reading party with students just after juries are over. So it's a very, very cool set of opportunities at Chapel Hill. You can also do a lot of study abroad from Chapel Hill. And there are specific music programs like the Birch Fellowship that goes to London and Florence. And then there's also IES programs that you can do music in Vienna, Amsterdam, Paris, other places. The music department at UNC has an exchange with King's College London, which is really cool. You have a chance to do an exchange in London. There's also Carolina Launch, which is where you spend your first semester abroad and then come back to campus in January. And in terms of the study abroad program opportunities just at UNC in general, basically it's all 6 continents. I don't know about Antarctica, but everything but, it's pretty incredible. So there's studyabroad.unc.edu. You can look at that. I want to talk a little bit about music scholarship at UNC. So then the first thing is that you have to apply to the university. And the way that the department works, we also have a system similar to Wake Forest where you don't declare your major until the end of your sophomore year. So if you're accepted to the university, you can come to the music department and you can study music. There's no audition to get into the department. We do have auditions for scholarship support, and everybody who auditions for scholarship needs to sign up for that when you apply to the university. So you have to sign up separately through the music department website. And all the students who audition for music scholarship are automatically considered for the Keenan Scholarship. We give out 4 of those per year, and that's actually a really cool award. It's full cost of attendance. So not just a tuition scholarship, but full cost of attendance. Plus, we give a stipend for summer study and other types of enrichment on top of the full cost of attendance scholarship. And then we have also smaller awards that aren't as massive financially as the Keenan, but all the smaller awards go towards in turning any loans that you receive in your financial package. Those smaller awards from the music department would then actually turn the loans into grants. Well, that's really great because then you don't have to pay back the loan. It turns into a grant. So if you're interested to learn more about how all of the student aid works at UNC, you see the website there at studentaid.unc.edu. So thank you all so much for being here and being interested. And if you have any questions, you can get in touch with me or else visit the UNC website at music.unc.edu. And thanks, Liz, for having me.
Okay, of course, it's my pleasure. Thank you so much. And I had muted Mr. Gilmore, who's going to be coming up next. So, Jimmy, if you can figure out how to unmute, that would be great. Jimmy Gilmore is the professor of clarinet at Duke University and also at Meredith College. And I may have to run into the other room and help him to do that and just so.
Okay. You muted, okay?
All right, so I'll hand it over to Mr. Gilmore.
Okay. It's been very interesting to hear everyone describe the school that they represent, and I've learned a lot. I'm glad I went last because I've learned a lot, and I'm here to talk about 2 very, very different institutions. One I'll talk about first is Meredith College, and if you are male, you need not apply to Meredith College because it's an all-female institution. It's located right here in Raleigh, and there are a lot of resources if you're in Raleigh because it is the state capital after all. And we do have something called the North Carolina Symphony here, which is a major orchestra, and world-class soloists come to play all the time. I myself was principal clarinet, and Liz is still associate principal cello of the orchestra. So having a major orchestra in right in your backyard, right down Hillsborough Street, is a very wonderful resource to have. That is also true, of course, of NC State. But anyway, Meredith College, if you are female and you are interested in music, we have a good program. It is a small program because the school is very small, and but the Bachelor of Music and the Bachelor of Arts, we have all those things that you would normally expect. A lot of the parents love Meredith because it's a very safe campus. It's a very well thought out campus, and the students feel very, very at ease there. And I must say that when I first started teaching there, I wasn't sure about women only education for women. But since teaching there, I've really been rethought it and really inspired by the idea that women's education can be a very, very wonderful thing for the people who attend. That's mainly because they don't have the boys there to suck all the air out of the room. So for the experience for the girls is very good. So of course, there's the website there, and there is that you can go to. Like I said, it is very friendly, easy place to be, and a very safe place. So it is a small school, but it does offer the normal musical degrees, and there are lots of opportunities to perform in and around Raleigh, and to pursue, of course, your interest in music therapy, etc. Now about Duke. Duke is, of course, some people refer to it as the Harvard of the South. Maybe that's a little snobby. I don't know. I teach clarinet there. But in any case, I must say the students I have there are incredibly good. And they, most of them submit a tape of what they call a supplemental. And then we review those tapes, and they are picked, given sort of a boost because of the fact they play music. And we need musicians to fill out the ensembles. We have, of course, the ensembles that would be maybe most interesting to people in NCCMI and other music students. We have obviously a really good orchestra with an excellent conductor of great experience, Harry Davidson, who is a fabulous musician. And we have Wind Symphony, which is conducted by Verena Bryant. She has a summertime program for students. Go to Austria. She's a native of Austria. And so she has a lot of great things for the summertime abroad. Of course, Duke has programs abroad during the year, and years of study across abroad. We have the music major and the music minor. Our experience has been very much like having taught on and off at UNC. It's very, very similar in the sense that Duke has a program that gives you a lot of flexibility. And Duke, though, the music department is not as full-fledged as you would have, let's say, at UNC or at Vanderbilt. But nonetheless, the quality of the students is on a par with just about anything. In fact, I've had people come over to hear auditions, and they're just like amazed at the quality of those students. So it's a very expensive school, but there are many awards. There are many ways to cut the cost down. And all of my students are actually on different programs that help to cut the cost. One thing I do want to mention about Duke is, of course, it's close to Raleigh. They have an artist series, as Chapel Hill does, a great artist series. But one thing I want to mention about Duke is very interesting, is that this is the only campus with a European cathedral on campus, the Duke Chapel. Having performed in that space many times, it's a very inspirational place to play. And we've played of course, the Mozart Requiem, the Verdi Requiem, the Berlioz Requiem in there. It's quite an experience in there. And the organ they have several organs of major quality. They have a Flintrop organ, they have a Aeolian Skinner organ, they have a portative organ. And I just want to tell you that when we played the Berlioz Requiem in there, when the organ played, no matter how loud the orchestra played, the organ wiped out the whole orchestra. It was incredible. It's an incredible sound, incredible experience. And so Duke has this variety of things for you. Of course, we have chorus and we have chamber music. The chamber music is very good there. And so I have a lot of my students that are involved in that. So if you would like to think about it, I just want to make sure that as I have talked with Don Ayler many times over at Chapel Hill, he and I went to Juilliard together. He's a clarinet teacher. And so many of my students have been music minors or music majors and have gone to medical school. So don't think that being a music major confines you to necessarily pursuing only music. Music might be among the things you pursue, but I just recently had a student who went to med school who was a music major. So there are lots of opportunities, lots of flexibility. And so the admission process is pretty rigorous. But anyway, I hope that you will check it out. And if you have any questions, please talk to me.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. So I think what we're going to do with our last 5 minutes or so is we're going to set up these breakout rooms, and students, we're just, if you don't specify somewhere to go, we will just kind of randomly assign you to a breakout room. And I encourage you to ask the representatives in your breakout room some important questions, like, for instance, have you found that music graduates from your institution were able to get a job when they graduated in the area they chose to be in? Or did they really need to go and get further education? And perhaps ask them, what should you be thinking about when you're considering music for your career or college plans? What questions should you be asking? All right. So, Ben, are we about ready to set up our breakout rooms?
Yes, I just opened the 3 different rooms, and you should be able to see who's in which room and who you'd like to speak more with.
Okay. We'll give you a warning of about 5 minutes in each room. It's included what you all were going to cook for dinner. So that's pretty fun. I'm sure we're all getting hungry now. So we are going to wrap things up. We hope that today proved to be a really exciting and interesting workshop for all of you who are in attendance. We will be making this recording available through our NCCMI YouTube channel, and we're going to be advertising that on social media. So I'm sure we're going to have a lot more people who are going to view this even after today. I want to thank our honored guests for your time that you've taken to come and speak with our students. You're all wonderful representatives for your institutions, and I'll vouch for every single one of these schools. They're all great. And for our students and any students who are listening in the future, you just have to find out the right fit for you. Whatever that might be. And hopefully this gave you some insights and a direction to follow in doing a little more research going forward. So again, thank you to all of you for attending. Look for our follow-up email, which will have resources like email contacts for all of these panelists, as well as the list of career options. And please feel free to ask us or to give us your ideas about how we can make this workshop better in the future. We really take your suggestions to heart. Everyone, thank you so much for being here. And we hope to hear from all of you soon. Thanks again and have a great evening.